What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Kara Corey here, registered dietitian, and today we're gonna talk about one of your most asked questions. Kara, how do I get enough protein in my diet? This seems kind of simple. I feel like we think about it as a simple task, but 9 times out of 10 when I work with clients, that is the #1 macronutrient that people struggle with meeting. Protein tends to be not as convenient as grabbing carbs or even fats, so that can be where if we don't plan, it can be a little bit challenging to make sure you're meeting your goals. So I wanna break it down super simply for how you can meet your protein needs, and also I'm gonna give you my top 13 easiest ways, easiest food meal ideas that you can utilize to meet your protein goals. Be sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit that like button if you enjoy these videos, as well as the post notification bell, that way you're notified each and every time that I upload. I personally struggled with getting my protein for a while, even when I was tracking macronutrients, and I feel like I have found the key for myself at really making it simple. And that's even when I'm not tracking macros. So for me personally, just to use an example, if I'm aiming for 100 grams of protein a day, I think about how many times a day on average I eat. It could vary. Sometimes I eat 3 times, sometimes I eat 4 times, but let's just go with 4 for simplicity. So if I want to spread out my protein evenly, which is what I suggest you guys do as much as possible, then I would be aiming for 25 grams of protein with each meal if I'm eating 4 times a day. So that just breaks it down nice and easy, thinking about how many meals I'm eating per day. And to take it a step further, if you're not someone who's weighing, measuring, tracking, an easy go-to guide that's still relevant today with thinking about what a 4-ounce portion of protein looks like. Speaking of meat, typically, we've got some beef here. 4 ounces is usually the size of a deck of cards, or I say the palm of your hand. I kind of have a small hand though, so I'm using a deck of cards to show that to you. For any kind of meat, that's a good reference. If you're just guesstimating how much protein you're getting in per meal, think about it that way. I like this reference point because it's easy to remember, and usually about 4 ounces of protein is gonna yield about 25 grams of protein. So it makes it really simple to think about it in that context in terms of adding up what you need throughout the day, even if you're not tracking. If you're someone that's eating 1 meal a day, I find that that's what's really challenging about getting in enough protein. I personally advise you try to spread it out as much as you can throughout the day. Protein is gonna be great for you in terms of really helping you feel full and more satisfied. So when I'm eating a meal, I like to start with my protein source, especially if I'm really hungry. Consuming protein does help regulate your hormones, so it actually does help decrease ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, so it decreases that a bit. Also helps stabilize your blood sugar levels, making sure insulin doesn't spike too high, and actually can increase your metabolism quite a bit. So there's a lot of good reasons to increase the protein in your diet or make sure you're eating enough. Another main reason why people want to increase their protein is to help them lose weight. So a lot of studies have shown higher protein diets can help you lose weight. So really important to make sure we're getting our protein in, especially if you're like myself, trying to build a little muscle, also can help you with enhancing your muscle growth. Let's get into my top 13 ideas for you to increase protein in your diet. Let's start with the basic and the obvious, which is animal protein. If you want a separate video on the best protein sources for vegans or vegetarians, we can handle that in a separate video, so be sure to comment that below. But meat obviously is gonna be an easy way to guarantee you're getting in protein, and usually 100% protein, maybe a little bit of fat in there. So I do have out some beef. It's actually for the dogs because they're on a raw diet, but I usually tend to pick an assortment of meat that I want to eat throughout the week. So right now I've been jamming on 94% lean ground turkey. Oftentimes we'll have seafood in the house, fresh seafood, and chicken. We actually have the slow cooker going right now with a bunch of organic chicken breasts in there, which is such a simple way to cook protein. So if you love eating meat, you love protein, the common thing I hear is I hate cooking it. Well, it can be really simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Organic chicken, I love. Even if you're not a big organic person, I personally find it tastes better, but you don't have as much nasty stuff to clean off of it. So I find it's really easy to just trim off any excessive fat that may be there. toss it in the slow cooker with a little water, and there's no excuses. You just let it slow cook for like 10 hours and you've got a huge thing of pre-made protein all ready to go for you. With your animal proteins, you do have to be a bit mindful of cooking them and having them prepped. That's why a tip for that for you guys is when you buy it, prep it right away. If you've got the turkey, you've got the beef, you've got the chicken, whatever it may be, cook it all up, portion it all out. That way it's ready to go in your fridge when you need it. With animal protein too, I know people can get kind of sick of it. So another tip is just cooking it plain. That's why Jason and I often cook it plain, because I like to season it different ways. I always have different spices, different condiments, and different little side dishes that I mix with things. So even if I'm eating turkey every day of the week, it doesn't have to be the same meal. Sometimes it's with barbecue sauce. Sometimes it's made into a meatball. Sometimes it's thrown into a little skillet or in a sandwich wrap. So be flexible with your protein and how you're gonna go about utilizing it, but kind of think about how you're gonna use it for the week. Moving on, we have eggs. You don't have to eat eggs if you don't like them, but eggs are another great source of protein, and the yolk is a good source of nutrition too. You can always hard boil these up. That sometimes is a super handy way to get in additional protein. If you like hard boiled eggs, a lot of my clients do that, where they just cook up a batch to have in the fridge and they grab a couple to have on hand to snack on during the day. And sometimes you're just missing that extra 5-10 grams of protein, but adding in that extra snack can go such a long way for your satisfaction and your ability to stay on track and feel kind of energized, and just your cognition is on point. It really can help having those higher protein snacks throughout the day. So eggs are a good one. Also, if you're a dairy person, cottage cheese should always be on hand if you like cottage cheese. I know some people have a texture thing, but for me, I love cottage cheese, whether I eat it plain, mix it in with more meat, or sometimes I add fruit to it. I usually do a lower fat one, but cottage cheese in a 4-ounce serving is 12 grams of protein. So this is super handy to have to add in that extra protein. Or if you like something a little sweeter and you do dairy, Greek yogurt is great to have on hand. Siggi's is one of my favorites. These are 16 grams of protein in one container, so real easy way to get in additional protein. These are a lower sugar option too for yogurt. They are flavored though, so I like throwing Siggi's into the mix. But if you don't want something like that, you want Greek yogurt, here's another good tip for you. I buy plain Chobani Greek yogurt, and you can make a veggie dip out of it. So another thing to get in your vegetables. This is my favorite combo here, the ranch dressing dry mix and the zesty Italian dry mix. You need both of these, and you just add it to your plain Greek yogurt, mix it up, let it chill, and you literally have the most delicious tasting ranch zesty dip. These aren't high in protein, but hey, I'm gonna plug in eating some veggies too. This is an easy way to get some veggies and dip in, and also increase the amount of protein in your diet. Just gotta get creative with it sometimes. Also in the dairy family, if you do dairy, just getting some milk in there, that's gonna be 8 grams of protein in 1 cup. Or a string cheese here. This is reduced fat. This is 5 grams of protein in 1 string cheese. Those 5 grams can just kind of add up throughout the day if you're someone who doesn't eat a lot of animal products, or a lot of meat, I should say. Having those little snacks on hand can go a long way. Snack option for protein, we have just a can of nuts here. Nuts are a higher fat source, which is fine, but 1 serving is gonna give you 5 grams of protein. So like I was talking about with the string cheese, you have yourself 1 little string cheese and a serving of nuts. That's gonna give you 10 grams of protein right there. So this kind of stuff does add up throughout the day. I always like having tuna packets on hand, or you can get cans of tuna. It's a quick way to get in your protein if you failed to cook up your meat. These are great to travel with as well. I always recommend tossing these in your purse or your carry-on bag, because they can go anywhere with you. And you know, sometimes I just eat them plain, but you could add a little whatever you like to it, a little honey mustard, little mayo, and have a quick protein source. These are 16 grams in a packet, just depends on the brand, but another good thing to have on hand. Non-meat sources, things like beans, legumes, nuts and seeds, as we mentioned. So things like garbanzo beans. I also have here some black refried beans. Both of these are anywhere from 6 to 8 grams of protein in about a half a cup. So it will take you a little bit more to get the same amount as you would with meat, but you could add this to any of your dishes. The chickpeas, I used to like to kind of mash that up with a little light mayo, and I would make it into a spread, or you could make it into hummus, another way to dip your veggies, but get in some protein. The beans, I mean, I just love beans, so I can personally eat them with anything, but it's another easy way to add in protein. Next up are whole grains versus eating your refined grains or having white flour foods. You're gonna get a lot more protein and fiber when you go with more whole grains. So a couple of options here. Although I love oatmeal, I eat it all the time. Having something like quinoa or couscous compared to even oats or rice. These are a higher protein option. So this is organic quinoa. This is 6 grams of protein in a serving, and the couscous is 7 grams of protein in a serving. Not as high compared to meat, but still a good choice to have on hand, especially when you don't want to eat meat all day long. Then I also have here these carb balance spinach herb wraps. Doesn't have to be this brand. These have in it 6 grams of protein in 1 tortilla. So making sure when you're choosing your grains, you're getting whole grains, not only for the fiber benefit, but also that additional protein, I promise will make it so super easy for you to meet your protein goals. Lastly, a couple things that have worked wonders for me is finding a protein powder that you love, that you will consume every day if you need to. I personally have become just good with having a protein shake every single day. I love the Ghost Oreo protein, not sponsored, but it's just the brand that I love. I've been mixing this with my cold brew coffee. I mention it in like every video I do, every Instagram post, and you guys always ask me more about it. So I promise you, making up a protein shake, adding it to your cold brew if you like that kind of thing, or just doing a morning smoothie and finding a protein that works for you. Maybe it's a vanilla protein, and then you add to it some greens and some fruit and things like that. So you're getting other health benefits, but starting your day packed with protein definitely helps fuel me up for the day and make me feel energized, and it also just helps with cravings throughout the day too. When I'm very purposeful with making sure I start my day with protein, include it in every meal, I notice I don't have crazy cravings for other foods, and that's probably because my blood sugar is staying nice and stable throughout the day. It's definitely great to eat whole foods as much as possible, but being realistic with our protein goals, sometimes we need to have quick on-the-go protein snacks. So I do have just a couple different protein goodies here that offer anywhere from 15 to 20 grams of protein. We've got some Power Crunch bars. These are like a protein Pop-Tart basically, 20 grams of protein in those. And then I always have protein chips on hand. These are 19 grams of protein. These I feel like just set me up for success, and you guys too, for those days that you have a ton going on and you don't have time to prep, or you ran out of all the turkey you had cooked. You have something quick and easy to grab that'll make sure that you get in your protein. I also just wanted to share with you guys a couple of my other favorite ways to add in protein. I think breakfast is the biggest thing for you to look at and assess what you're eating and if you're getting in enough protein. Eggs, I've cooked these sometimes into like a little egg muffin that you add veggies into, grab and go. Those could be made up for the week, really easy to have on hand. Or I love doing a skillet in the morning with some chicken sausage and some veggies. You can throw in potato in there, really filling, easy to make that high in protein to start your day. My last one for you for breakfast is overnight oats, which I have a ton of recipes on this channel. You can go ahead and search within my YouTube channel, overnight oats recipes, tons that you can make with adding in the protein that you like, maybe adding in some chia seeds, other things that will just continue to enhance the amount of protein you start your day with. A couple other snacky things you could do. I'm not a big jerky fan, but if you like jerky, that's an easy one to throw into the routine, especially if you're someone on the go all the time. That's pretty portable, non-perishable, which makes it a bit easier to travel with your protein. I like to sometimes do little turkey roll-ups, although I try to make sure the amount of protein in my diet isn't coming from deli meat or super processed food items. That can be a nice option, like a little turkey roll with cheese in it or some vegetables, little things like that. Forgot to mention too, with my snacks, They also, I mean, they put protein in literally everything now, but the Magic Spoon cereal is pretty high in protein, 13 grams in this one for a cup of cereal. I absolutely love this cereal. It also kind of helps curb my sweet tooth as well, and that's a lower sugar option. Can't find that in the grocery store, but is available online. So I almost feel like in 2022, you have no excuses to not be getting in enough protein. There are so many different things on the market now that have protein added into them, but I highly suggest you just take a few moments to do an inventory of what protein sources you liked. And I really hope today's video sparked a little interest in you to make sure that you are getting in your protein and maybe gave you some creative ideas for how to go about doing so. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Let me know what your favorite protein source is down in the comments below. There's a ton more I could have mentioned here, but I want to know what your favorite one is, and I will see you guys in the next video.